DreAllDay.com. DreAllDay.com. I want to talk real quick, something that was on my mind, because I saw, opened up Instagram today, and I saw Puff Daddy or Diddy or whatever y'all call him. He had posted that T.I. was doing a conversation on his podcast about this whole prison reform thing, that a bunch of guys have jumped on this bandwagon of prison reform, or whatever you want to call it, this movement of prison reform, whatever we're calling it these days on that whole issue. Now, we know that Obama, one of the last things he did when he was in office, he called a bunch of these guys in. And I just want to find out, I want to know what y'all think about this, especially, I'm assuming most of you who are watching this video or who follow me, y'all are of the hip hop culture. You don't have to be black and you don't have to be a certain age, but if you follow hip hop, then you know who these people are. Of course, we know the Meek Mill thing. He was incarcerated on, he had been on probation, and then the judge, he got arrested because he was riding a fucking, what do they call those things? The four-wheelers in Philly, and was popping a wheelie he wasn't supposed to, and they arrested him on that. Of course, that's some bullshit, that he wasn't hurting nobody. And that's like probably because he was Meek Mill. He was targeted for that. He spent an exorbitant amount of time locked up over that, with something that damn near anyone else, had they got arrested on that, they would have got out of jail easily. But he was in jail for some time for that. People got him out. And then, of course, Jay-Z had something to do with that somehow, some way. And Obama had this summit where he called in a bunch of rappers who have been incarcerated or rap about a lot of drug shit, or have friends who've been incarcerated, at least if what they rap about is to be believed. People like, of course, there's Jay-Z, Meek Mill, Rick Ross, Pusha T, T.I. Let's just stick to those five guys. Those are five guys that I know are involved in the whole prison reform conversation, have been outspoken about it, are connected to each other in some way, shape, or form. Here's the general question that I'm asking, and I really want to know what y'all think about this. Those of y'all in the hip hop, of the hip hop culture, which is damn near all of us. If you watching my video, you're of the hip hop culture, most of you. How do you understand the dichotomy between these rappers, T.I., Meek Mill, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Rick Ross? I listen to all these guys. I play them in my workout playlist. It was the most important playlist I got when I'm working out, and I'm sure any of y'all who is athletes know what I mean. I listen to these guys, and if you really listen to what they're saying, a lot of times we don't really pay attention to what they're saying because we love the melodies and we learn the words, and it becomes automatic to us. We ain't really thinking about it. But if you really listen to what they're saying, if you were to actually follow what these dudes talk about in their raps, where would you be? Would you either be dead or you be incarcerated? Now, I think all of us, me and you, we are intelligent enough, disciplined enough, we got enough home training to know the difference between listening to a rapper who says over and over and over again in their songs how real everything they say is. Every rapper tells you how real they are, right? At least these guys I'm talking about, Jay-Z, Meek, T.I., Ross, Pusha, they all telling you how real they are. Like, I'm not lying, everything is all facts, and they all tell you that. And based on their track records, damn near all these dudes either been locked up, had some, or close to killed, or had somebody close to them locked up or killed. Damn near all of them, right? Again, if we were to believe everything that they said and the stuff that we hear about on the news, etc., etc. So I don't think that not all of it's a lie. I think every rapper puts sauce on their stories to make themselves seem bigger, and that's just marketing and promotion. I get it. I'm not against it. But how do you reconcile a rapper talking all this stuff, violence, drugs, guns? This is what the majority of these guys' music is. The only other thing they talk about a lot is, what they do to females. So if that's what they're rapping about, and again, I'm a fan of the music, but now they're saying, well, we need to reform prisons. It's wrong what the prison system is doing to especially men of color these days, being in prison too long, being imprisoned for doing little things they shouldn't be in prison for. But these guys, the majority of what they're rapping about, that they make their money off of, these guys make their living rapping about, and we could call it glorifying, things that would get you incarcerated if you were to do it. Like, how do you balance that out? You as a fan of these rappers, you as a person who wants to see the prisons reformed. I know people who have been locked up. I know of people getting locked up. I have seen what it's like inside of a facility don't nobody want to spend time in there, especially if you did something like, bought or sold $10 worth of weed and you end up in prison for 2 years. That's crazy, right? That is crazy. So I believe that, yes, there needs to be a reform of the system and the type of penalties that people are getting. I believe all of that. I believe in all of that. But at the same time, how are these guys, of all the people who could be talking about it, these guys are doing it when your whole career is based off of glorifying this stuff? And some people may say, well, they're not glorifying it. They're just telling the story of what's happening in their lives. I disagree with that, because there's a whole lot of things that happen in all of our lives. Like, what do you hear me talking about on my videos? What do you see me writing about in my books? What do I talk about? What do you listen to me talking about on my podcast, or when I do a speaking gig or a TED Talk? There's a lot of things that have happened in my life. I don't talk about all of it. I don't talk about the times that I got in a physical altercation with somebody else, or some argument that I had with some dude on the corner, or how this person did wrong this, or this person I don't like. I could talk about those things. They happen. But I decide, instead I talk about, I played ball and I worked hard and I believed in myself and all these mental game tools that I utilized to get there. And here's how you could use it. I talk about that. That's what I choose to talk about. These guys have done positive things. They built businesses, they own companies, they have careers, they got families, they're helping their homies out, they're putting people on, they're doing positive things as well. So why do they have to? They don't have to rap about the streets or drugs or guns or violence. They don't have to rap about that, because there's other aspects to their lives. Hopefully, I think there are other aspects to all these guys' lives. But at the same time, again, from the outside looking in, I don't know these people personally. They didn't get in position to do those things unless, maybe it could be unless, who knows, had they done these other things. Like Jay-Z got in position to do what he did in music because he was hustling in the streets. And again, if his music is to be believed, he got a nice little bag of money and he utilized that to get himself into the music business. And Rick Ross says the same thing. I read Rick Ross's book. He talks about that. Meek Mill sounds pretty much like a Jay-Z or Rick Ross story. Another version of it, but sounds like the same thing. T.I. sounds very similar. Pusha T sounds very similar. Their stories all sound the same. I was in the streets doing this, that, and the third. Most people don't make it out the streets. I was lucky enough to make it out the streets. Then I became a rapper. I made all this money. Look at all these material goods that I got. Let me tell you about it on every song that I make. And now I got a business. That's pretty much what we get from rappers. And I'm not knocking this. Again, let me say for the 5th time, I'm a fan of this. All right, I listen to this shit all day. All right, when I'm writing books, I'm listening to Jay-Z and Pusha T. You know how many times I listened to Pusha T's last album? You wouldn't believe it. So I'm a fan of all this stuff, but I'm just trying to figure out how all of us as intelligent thinking individuals, especially those of you, I especially want to hear from those of you who have some position of influence with youth, or you are looked up to as a mentor or a leader of people who are on the come up trying to learn from you. And you've probably been through some stuff in your life too, but you don't always talk about it. I'm sure you agree with the prison reform thing. It doesn't make any sense for anybody to be in prison for a year or 2 years or hardly any long amount of time for selling a small amount of marijuana, and especially since we are legalizing it in a whole lot of places now anyway, or any other kinds of long sentences that a lot of people have or got before any of this stuff even became a hashtag or a movement, if we want to call it that. What do y'all think about this? Because I'm really trying to understand it. I tweeted about this today. I don't know if anybody, I scheduled the tweet, so I don't know if the tweet even came out yet, but I want to hear what people got to say about it. I talked about it on Instagram. I really want to know where everybody's at with this, because it seems to me like, yes, y'all got the right idea, but you talking about it when every time you speak to the public, you telling everybody about all this hustling and drug dealing you did. You telling people it's real. You telling people it really happened. And then you're showing us how great your life is. So what do you think somebody's going to take from that? All right, you did this, and this, and now you're in this amazing space. That's going to influence somebody. Now, again, I'm sure you watching this, you're smart enough to know that just because you heard Rick Ross rapping about it doesn't mean you're supposed to go do it. Even though you may want the results that Rick Ross has, like he got a house and cars and money. Again, if everything he tells us and shows us is to be believed, he has these things, right? And again, rappers always emphasize how everything they're telling you is the truth. So even though you may want the result, you understand, you're smart enough to understand, okay, I don't want to take this risk in order to get that result. Maybe there's another way of getting it. You also understand that not everybody's as smart as me and you. You understand that there's some people who come from maybe low situations or are in low situations right now, like those guys were in, again, if their music is to be believed, and they're like, all right, how do I get out of this? What are my options of getting out of this? Let me hear what Jay-Z did. Oh, he hustled. What Pusha T, what Rick Ross do, what T.I. do, what Meek Mill do. According to their music, they all did the same thing. But if you do that, 99 times out of 100, you ain't gonna be the one who makes it out. But these are the guys who are telling us now we need to reform the prisons. Well, look, your music is sending people to prison. In my opinion, it is. I'm not saying that it's Jay-Z's fault. If I was to go sell some drugs and get caught and get a sentence, it's not Jay-Z's fault that I got the sentence. I'm not blaming them for it. But what I'm saying is your music, the thing that made you the money, is you continually over and over and over again talking about these things that are really making people from outside of our culture look at us and say, okay, these guys is all dealing drugs, doing violence, and disrespecting women. Because that's what the music is about. Again, I'm not knocking it. I listen to this shit. I know the words to all this shit. All right, name any Jay-Z song, I'll tell you all the words straight up. With no, you ain't gotta give me the track. I'll tell you all the words. Pusha T's last album, Rick Ross, T.I., Meek. I know the words. I listen to this stuff over and over and over again. It's all in here. Okay, but at the same time, this is the image that we're portraying out to the world, to the people on the outside of our culture looking in on our culture, and to the people who are in the culture who don't know any better. They don't have parents at home. They don't have a positive role model to tell them, listen, there's a difference between listening to this shit and doing what they talk about. I don't care how real they say it is. That don't mean you need to go do it. There are people who don't have somebody who could tell them that. They don't have people in their ear telling them that. So these guys are making money. This is how all these guys I'm mentioning, they made their money by making these songs talking about these things, this gangsta rap material. They made their money off of this. They got into a position of prominence because they made this stuff over and over and over again. They just make different versions of it with a different track and a different hook and a different dance, and it's made them a lot of money. So listen, I'm not knocking the fact that they made money, but you also got to look at how you made your money and who you influenced in doing that, and what influence are you having on people with the stuff that you're rapping about? And then to say, well, I want to reform prisons. Like, yo, if someone listens to you, your realness, they're going to be in prison. Now you want to reform the prison. So how about, and I completely understand this. I could explain, I can answer for a rapper, why don't you rap about something a little bit more, positive? Like Jay-Z's last album, the 444 album, where he wasn't really rapping about the drugs and the street shit anymore. He was more on some grown man, I guess you want to call it grown man, more adult, more mature stuff. And that album didn't really have any hit records, but all the money Jay-Z made was off the hit records. And the hit records was what? Something about a woman, or something about his hustling days, or y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, maybe it ain't no money in talking about some positive shit. Look at the rappers who are more conscious. Like Jay-Z said, I want to rhyme like common sense, but you ain't gonna make no money rhyming like common sense. That's kind of what he said. Not to say the common don't make any money, but y'all get the point that I'm making here, do you not? So I want to know, all that being said, what y'all think about this. Who does this make any sense that we're hearing it from these guys? Are they the ones who should be carrying the torch of this? Does it sound silly that the dudes rapping about hustling in the streets is now trying to reform prisons of people who was hustling in the streets? Am I crazy for even bringing this up? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Work on your game. Dre all day.